What if I told you that 25 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life, and I'm still paying for it today? My name is Linda, and this is the story of how I destroyed the most beautiful thing I ever had, thinking I was choosing happiness. Spoiler alert, I wasn't. Picture this. The year is 1999. I'm 35 years old, married to my college sweetheart David for 15 years, and we have 5 beautiful children together. Our youngest was only 3 years old. David worked 2 jobs to support our family while I stayed home with the kids. He wasn't the most romantic guy, sure, but he was steady, reliable, and completely devoted to us. He'd come home exhausted every night, help with homework, fix whatever was broken around the house, and still find energy to read bedtime stories. But somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that steady wasn't enough. I wanted passion. I wanted excitement. I wanted someone who made my heart race the way David used to in college. Enter Marcus, my friend's divorced brother who started coming around for family barbecues. He was everything David wasn't at that time in our lives. Spontaneous, charming, always ready with compliments about how beautiful I looked or how David was lucky to have me. While David was working his second job in the evenings, Marcus would text me, making me feel special and desired in ways I'd forgotten were possible. The affair started innocently enough with coffee meetings and long conversations about how unfulfilled we both felt. But within 3 months, I was completely swept away. Marcus painted this picture of a life we could have together. Traveling, adventures, romance every single day. He said he'd always dreamed of being with someone like me, someone who deserved to be treasured. I was intoxicated by the attention, the secrecy, the feeling of being wanted so desperately. When Marcus got a job offer in another state and asked me to come with him, I didn't hesitate. I convinced myself that I deserved happiness, that life was short, and that the kids would understand eventually. The day I left is burned into my memory forever. I waited until David left for work, packed 2 suitcases, and sat my 5 children down. My oldest was 14, my youngest was 3. I told them Mommy needed to go away for a while to be happy, and that they'd understand when they were older. The look in their eyes still haunts me. Confusion, fear, and worst of all, that desperate pleading for me to stay. I left a letter for David explaining that I'd fallen in love with someone else and couldn't pretend anymore. I wrote that he was a good man, but that we'd grown apart, and I needed to follow my heart. I actually thought I was being brave and honest. Here's what I didn't anticipate. Marcus wasn't looking for a ready-made family. Within 6 months of our passionate new life together, he started complaining about my phone calls with the kids. He said I was living in the past and needed to move forward. When I wanted to fly back for my daughter's graduation, he guilted me into missing it, saying a weekend apart would ruin the momentum we'd built. The passionate romance I'd sacrificed everything for, it lasted exactly 18 months. Marcus left me for a younger woman with no kids and no baggage. Suddenly, I was alone in a state where I knew nobody, with no money of my own, and 5 children who barely spoke to me when I called. I tried to come back. I thought David would take me back because we had history, because I was the mother of his children, because I'd realized my mistake. But David had filed for divorce the week after I left. He'd taken on a 3rd job to afford childcare and somehow managed to keep our family together without me. When I showed up at what used to be our house, he opened the door, looked at me for a long moment, and simply said, "The kids are at school. You have 30 minutes to get whatever you left behind." That was it. No screaming, no accusations, no emotional breakdown, just cold, complete dismissal. Fast forward to today. David never remarried, devoted his entire life to raising our children. All 5 of them are successful adults now, doctors, teachers, engineers. They have families of their own, and none of them speak to me. I've tried everything. Birthday cards returned unopened, wedding invitations ignored. I've shown up at graduations only to watch security escort me out. I've sent letters explaining how sorry I am, how I was confused and selfish, how I never stopped loving them. David, now 60, still won't acknowledge my existence. When I see him at public events our kids are involved in, he looks right through me like I'm invisible. I've tried approaching him, asking for just 5 minutes to explain, to apologize, to beg for forgiveness. Here's what I truly don't understand. Why can't he see that I've suffered enough? Why can't he forgive me for one mistake I made 25 years ago? I was young and confused. I thought I was following my heart. Doesn't our 15-year marriage count for anything? Don't our 5 children together mean something? I've been in therapy for years trying to understand his coldness. Yes, I hurt him, but people make mistakes. People fall out of love and find it again with someone else all the time. Why is he so determined to punish me forever? I see other divorced couples who manage to co-parent civilly, who attend their children's events together, who found ways to forgive and move forward. But David acts like I died the day I walked out that door. What I've never been able to accept is that some betrayals are unforgivable. I didn't just leave David. I abandoned 5 children who needed their mother. I chose a fantasy over their reality. I prioritized my momentary happiness over their lifelong security and well-being. David didn't just lose a wife that day. He lost his partner, his co-parent, his support system, and his trust in love itself. He had to explain to 5 devastated children why mommy left them for another man. He had to work 3 jobs while helping with homework and attending school plays alone. He had to be both mother and father while dealing with his own heartbreak. The reason David won't talk to me isn't cruelty or spite. It's self-preservation. I represent the worst betrayal he's ever experienced, and forgiveness isn't something I'm entitled to just because I finally realized what I lost. So here I am, 25 years later, still trying to understand why the man I destroyed won't help me rebuild what I demolished. Still believing that my regret should somehow erase their pain. Still thinking that saying I'm sorry should unlock forgiveness I've never actually earned. The hardest truth is this: some doors, once closed, never open again. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what I deserve.